if you were to have a meeting, you only got 20 minutes. No, you got 15 minutes to meet up with a self-made multimillionaire. You and him. In a room, just y'all. What are you going to do? Now, most people, what you probably thought also is, I got a list of questions that I'm going to ask. How can I get? How can I? How can I? How can I? Right? And even though that's the natural inclination, that wouldn't be the best choice of actions, because it's very centered on you, very egocentric. And here's the thing, this person is where you want to be. So what you got going on, what you're talking about, is null and void if what you're trying to go is where he is. So if you're face to face with this millionaire, you only got 15 minutes. I need you to talk to me. You tell me everything you got to say, because you know my situation. You can see it from a 360 perspective. You've been where I was, and you're out of that situation now. You can probably tell me how to get to where you are in a very short amount of time. But I'm not going to ask the right questions because I don't have enough data to ask the right questions. So really, I'm an open channel for you to tell me whatever you got to tell me. I'm here for it.
I like your little bit about purifying the body and the mind as well. I went through that when I was trying to manifest wealth. I had a friend who used to make a whole bunch of money, and he was like, all right, Alora, well, if you were to make 3 digits or, like $300,000 a paycheck or whatever, what would you do with that money? And I started listing off all the things I'd buy. Oh man, I'd pay off my house. I would buy a house in Mexico. I would then go and buy a place in Brazil, and then I would do this and that. And he was like, you notice how immediately when you got the money, all you wanted to do was spend it? It was like, this is why you don't have wealth. Right. And I was like, damn. You are right, sir. And I was like, well, I wouldn't spend all of it, And he was like, yes, you would, because you're already thinking he's like, that's the lack mentality. Right. You think I don't have enough to spend. He's like, but to have wealth, you have to be able to acquire and maintain. He's like, that's where you're having issues right there. And he was so right. And then when I started meditating and doing my own studies, like really getting into my own studies, I started realizing I don't need money. And when I realized I didn't need money in the way that I thought I did, that's when I began to start acquiring wealth, acquiring ways for me to get what I needed and actually redefine what wealth actually was for me. So it is a process of that internal cleaning. Where is your mind at?
Yeah, powerful. You really start to notice that consumer mindset only when you're trying to shift out of it. Most of us don't realize we have a consumer mindset. I remember times just like that, where it's like thinking about money. Hell, just getting paid. I'm like, I already have my whole check divvied up to where it's gonna go. Bills, and then all that other shit that I'm gonna buy that I don't need. And it took me a while to realize, like, damn, I really gotta restructure that. I'm spending my money before I get it. That's not good. But that's the consumer mindset. That's what that's what's ingrained into us.
One thing about money or currency is that it can supply an item for every sense. Every one of your senses can be satisfied with currency. So that's what makes it such a toxic and element that's so hard to get. It's not necessarily the money that is hard to get away from. It's the things it provides you with.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. So if a person is overeating, you know what I'm saying, the money, and they have the money to binge spend, then that's what they're gonna do. So the whole thing with Shooty, what makes that important when it comes to those realizations of experiences of life, money, and the blah blah blah. As the people misquote the Bible, they always say, money is the root of all evil.
Right.
But fully what it says is, for the love of money is the root of all evil. So it's not the money, it's the things you begin to love that you able to obtain with the money. So those things are nothing but, as to break it all down into simple language, those are desires. That's just nothing but satisfaction of your senses. And as we know from delving into this particular science that come from India, Vedic sciences, we know that all pleasures and satisfaction leads to pain and discomfort. And it also leads you to come back and revisit the karma of why you particularly OD'd off of something. You know what I'm saying? So everybody that's the whole thing, that once we cleanse ourselves deep enough, well, first, do the whole process of, whether it's Tawashuti or any type of cleansing process, you're gonna become toxic. As you mentioned a little while ago, you ever notice that when you say you tried to get away from something and all of a sudden it pops up like it wants you to do it more? You know what I'm saying? Like you're trying to be in control of, let's use money again. You're trying to be in control of spending, but all of a sudden it seemed like shit start breaking in your house. You got to buy something new. The car, it's oil change. Now you got everything. That's because you premeditated those thoughts, because it's based off of a pattern of a lifestyle that you've always lived. So as you continue to get older, you continue to live these same pattern over and over. It's just like you are a good album, but you got a scratch in it. So once you get to that one particular part, me being, I'm aging. Well, I don't care. I'm aging myself, because most people don't understand the concept of an album and skipping, but a CD and skipping. Anything that we had that was hard copy, it skips. The body is a hard copy, and it's hardware to the software of the spirit. So the whole thing is we start becoming these patterns. You know what I mean? So the money leads to the things that we love, that becomes our indulgence, that becomes our burden. So it's rich people burdened by money and poor people burdened by money. You could buy, like, if okay, here's a reality. Well, I don't want to say reality. Here's an experience. You're going to get to a point that you're going to have so many books that you're going to outgrow the house that you're in.
Yeah.
You know why? Because you only got so much cubic square feet within that house that could satisfy the indulgence. That's no different than me with books or any other thing. We start outgrowing our space.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why the body dies, because eventually we outgrow it. But if we don't mature through a process of becoming aware of the root of our desires, hence the cleansing with Tawashuti. So once you start utilizing that, you're gonna go into toxic shock. Like you ever seen somebody in real life try to get off heroin by themselves with nothing? It's an ugly.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
That's an ugly situation. Because as soon as they wake up, they only got about 10 minutes that they can do something before their body say, I need to go up. So if they trying to fight that, boom, that's the same thing. Each individual who truly utilized Tawashuti, you should have been through a serious detox. You should have been traumatized at yourself. So then your trauma becomes your liberation, because everything is for liberation. Even somebody who's shooting heroin, to be the worst of an addict, can find moksha, high as a kite. And the person who doing all bhakti, they haven't reached no level. They still they inoculated and vaccinated. So the whole thing is that when, it just made me think, with this money, see, money is able to provide something, and I'm not going to label what it is, but it's something for every single sense organ. You want to have sex till you can't get up no more, and your money can provide that. You want to jump out of an airplane backwards? Money can provide it. You want to go to some of the most beautiful places on the earth? Money can provide it. You want to go to some of the most ugliest places on earth? Money can. So that right there is number one. Is every human being, he's has a very thick root system that's attached to the insecurities of having money and not having money. You know how much of a burden it is? Just like Kenya said it, she always feels like she the one people come to. Man, I know you got it. People do the same thing, but man, I know you got it, man. How you know I got it?
I get that too.
You know what I'm saying? I know you got it, nigga. You say, I see your car. Your car never dirty. But that be the addiction. So that's why you lose the duality of life once you get deep into this shit, because you be like, oh shit, I can be just as garbage as what we consider garbage and other people. I'm not seeing nothing as reality. Everything is all experience. Because we can't Tawashuti, well, I'm gonna say what I've been learning on this process is you cannot define what the term or the word reality is. I'm saying that for me. I've come to the awareness reality is experience. There is no such thing. There is no definition I'm going to give anybody for what's real. Because what can be real to me cannot be real to you. That's the magician. That's how people walking around here paying $800 to people to take hexes off of them. That's not real. They've made it real though. You see what I'm saying? So the practitioner of I'm gonna say the charlatan who knows energy as well. There's charlatans who practice Tawashuti. There's black magicians out there that's Tawashuti right now. Practice diligently. That make money off of foolish people in the spiritual, quote unquote, spiritual community, because you know why? Because they're supposed to.
Right.
There is nothing right or wrong. It's an experience.